Hi everybody, this is Biba, Pédron, business and mindset coach, and welcome to our new show of the Let's Connect. And the purpose of the show is really to connect you with my network, with the people that I meet, with the people that I know, with the people that I know that have great expertise. And the same as me, they really serve you in order to help you to grow your business much faster. And we know that we don't know everything, so we don't know what we don't know. So that's what I bring new people every week in order to give you more tips in order to grow your business. So today I have the pleasure to have Jackie Lapin with us. And that actually Jackie is she's a leader in helping leaders, author, coaches, and speakers connect with their next followers around the globe. That's important. She's an expert in aiding them to get booked. She provides strategies, guidance, and lead through the SpeakerTunity program, tip sheets, and original and regional directory that can change makers book on stage, radio show, podcast, and virtual summit, TEDx, events, and virtual networking. So today we will speak about the art of getting booked everywhere. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Hello, Biba. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. We met not long time ago through LinkedIn, but I saw that your service was very interesting. And actually, somebody recommended me to connect with you. And I was actually working on how to get booked because I'm coming back to the US market. So I know the visibility is very important. And I like the service that you provide. So before we go through the question and how to get booked and everything, can you tell us a little more on what makes you decide to help people to get booked?
Well, I actually kind of followed the universe's breadcrumbs. Mm-hmm. And here's how it's gone. I was one of the first women sports writers in the world. And that was something that drove me. And I was at the Detroit Free Press, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, and Associated Press before I was 22 years old. I went on to have one of the largest sports special events and cable TV PR agencies in America with a world-class client list for about 20 years. I was moved to write 2 books in personal growth, The Art of Conscious Creation and Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires. The second book was the best spiritual book of the year at the International New Age Trade Show. When I got done with that, I realized that my heart was in serving the messengers of the world, the people who were making it a better place through their services and their businesses. And so I rebranded the company as Conscious Media Relations on that side. And we started doing radio podcast tours, which we still do, where we introduce authors and leaders to 9,000 radio shows and podcasts at the same time and guarantee a minimum of 30 interviews for our top 2 programs. Well, we've done that for Don Miguel Ruiz and Ariel Ford and James Twyman and Joe Vitale and Chris and Janet Atwood and Maureen St. Germain and a gazillion other people. But some of my clients who were not luminaries, but everyday folks like you and me came to me and said, well, can you book me for speaking engagements? And I said, I don't want to do that, but I know where they are. Why don't I just tell you where they are? And that's how my other company, SpeakerTunity, came to be. And SpeakerTunity is a speaker and leader resource company. And that's where we provide incredible do-it-yourself tools and directories to make it easy for you to get booked. Essentially, we're the speaker's toolbox. We give you everything you need so that you can get booked faster and easier and on more stages with less time and effort. So that's really how we evolved, essentially.
Okay. And I'm sure that there's so many people who wants to be on stage, even if right now it's more difficult, but then some people still don't realize they can be on stage, even if it's a virtual stage. It works the same way. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And frankly, there are more opportunities than ever before. The numbers used to be in the US and Canada alone of 6,500 a day. There are now 9,000 opportunities because so many of those regular business meetings have gone virtual. And on top of that, conferences have gone virtual. So you can be anywhere and you're not incurring all those travel costs. Yeah. And as long as they have a stage for you and you're welcomed, it's a great opportunity. Now, the downside is those people that were used to getting paid to book and to be on stages, which is the highest level of the food chain, there's less of those opportunities than there were ever before. But the opportunity to introduce your products from the stage, invite people to take advantage of an offer that you make is expanding exponentially. So if you have that skill to be able to make an offer, and whether it's an actual paid offer or a free offer where people can come in, take something free from you that will then put them into your community, and then you can introduce new products on a regular basis. Well, that opportunity is just expanding. And it's just a matter of finding those opportunities, getting in the queue so that they want you as opposed to everybody else who wants those opportunities, and making sure that they are in concert with the audience that you're trying to reach. That's really the art.
Yeah, that's the business model that we call the speaks to sell. So, and usually, and that's what I do. I mean, I learn on how to get paid, but I do public speaking on Speak to Sell for years. And most of the time you can get paid a lot more because there's no limit, where you can be paid like 5,000, 15,000 or something like that for one gig. Well, when you have clients, there's no limit. So it's even better in a way.
It depends on making a perfect match between the right audience, the right price point, and your ability to speak to sell. That combination, if you have all that down, is really gold.
The sky is the limit, as we say. Yeah. So, but now, some people don't know how to get booked because maybe they did it on their own and they try to do it on their own, as I used to do. Like I'm kind of lucky because in France, I don't have to get booked because people know who I am. So I'm getting invited all the time. But in the US, it's different for me because it's a new market for me. I used to be in the US market, but long time ago, so people don't know who I am anymore. So now what should we do to be booked? Because there's so many, as you said, there's so many opportunities. So now everybody wants to speak everywhere. So what will make the difference for a booker to pick us compared to somebody else?
Well, the first thing is that you really have to make yourself relevant to that audience. The first thing is you must establish for that booker what you are going to say or do that's going to change the life of that audience. How is it going to improve their life? So when you do submit your speaker proposal, your radio podcast pitch, or your speaker one sheet or podcast introductory sheet, it can't be about you. It has to be about the audience. So when you position it that way, that is really critical. There are several other factors that are important in terms of relevance. The fact that it's got to be the right, if your story is their story. For example, if you have suffered through a business loss or sexual abuse or PTSD or whatever it is, when you tell your story and that audience has also suffered that story through that kind of, that's going to put you ahead. If the booker knows your human interest story is a match, that's going to help you. Also, is this the right skill level set for this audience? Are you talking way above them, or is this right at their level? Which behooves you to have different programs at different levels so that you can fit into different places. Another factor is whether you have actually, whether your program is a match to what they need. Yeah. Is this something that they have been looking for and suffering from over the course of these years that you actually have the answer to? There's actually a whole bunch of different relevant, there's actually about 14 or 15 different relevant factors. And if anybody wants, I have a great strategy sheet that'll help you determine how relevant you are and what points that you should put in your pitch letter, your proposal letters. Just go to relevantstrategysheet.com. That's it, relevantstrategysheet.com. Okay. And you will be able to get that document.
I like what you said, transform people's life, because that's actually what I do. It's interesting because recently I noticed that most of people come to me after and say, you changed my life. And I say, well, people, when they come to me, they don't say, you changed my life. They say, can you change my business? Can you help me to grow my business? But then changing their life, it's way more interesting for me than help them to make money. It's important to grow your business, but it's more important to transform your life. And it's funny because actually recently I saw a quote online, and he said, "Are you an impactpreneur or an entrepreneur?" And I said, well, starting today, I will only work with women impactpreneur, because for me, the transforming people's life and the impact is very important. In order to have an impact, when you contact the booker, you need the one-sheet speaker. And I know that we had a conversation a while ago, and you say that people don't do it correctly. So what's the best one? What's the best way to do it?
Okay, so a speaker one sheet consists of certain things. And first, I want to say that I want to refer back to what I just said about the fact that the whole approach to it must be about what you're going to do to transform the audience. And that your headline needs to speak to that, and your bio needs to speak to that. Now, that bio is, that's really the essence of the first paragraph of that bio. And the second part of that bio is your credentials, what makes you the expert that you are and brings you to this place that you can offer this. And the third are supporting things like, are you the author of a book? Have you won awards? What your educational background is? So that's kind of the chronology of what you put in your bio. Then it should have a couple of testimonials, and the preferred testimonials, people who've actually booked you before. It's great to have clients or people who've seen you speak in the audience, but it's always best if you have people that has booked you before. Then on the back side, it should be 3 presentations. Now, if you only have one arrow in your quiver, it had better be a bullseye. But if you have 3, you're going to give people choice, and it can be parsed in different ways. It could be the same talk, but just repositioned for 2 different audiences or 3 different audiences. It could be 3 completely different talks. It could be 2 different levels, an experienced and an inexperienced. It can be a lunch and learn, a keynote, and a workshop. There's just lots of different ways that you can make that interesting for the bookers, so that they say, that's right for our audience, or that's right for the level of my people. And then, of course, you need a call to action and all that. And one of the nice things is that we have recently started a service called SpeakerTunity Sheets that makes it really simple. All you have to do is pick from templates, pick your colors, and then fill in the form, and we'll get your speaker one sheet back to you. We'll also do podcast introductory sheets, which is a 1-pager as opposed to a 2-pager. And that's something that you can either send just individually or accompanying a pitch when you're sending your radio podcast pitch. But either of those things are very great, powerful tools that make it simple for you to establish with the booker that you are a cut above, that you're a top professional, that you know what you're doing, and that they're going to give them the confidence that when you show up, you're going to give great content.
Okay, great. Well, you already gave us a lot of information. So now that we know what the booker would like in order to book us, so how do you pick the right opportunities? And how do you know that they are right opportunities for us and to contact, a booker or something, or to contact organizers, events planners, and that we are not just wasting our time?
Well, that's a very, very important question. First of all, you really need to understand that we're not just talking about virtual and live stages. You're also talking about podcasts and radio shows and videocasts. Many of those are videocasts today, and virtual summits. So the first thing is look at the previous events or guests or hosts. That's going to give you a good idea of what they are looking for. Also, you can often tell by the website who the audience is. I mean, is it female entrepreneurs? Is it mostly a mixed audience that's really interested in entrepreneurship skills, or if it's a healthcare group, or a group of moms that need new skills to parenting. I mean, go find your audience that's right for what you're trying to do. And then check and make sure that obviously this group takes speakers, And then once you've done your homework, that's going to give you a pretty good idea. One of the nice things about what we do at SpeakerTunity is we sort all that out for you. And we give you descriptions of each of those opportunities, and you can see if it's a match for you. And we do that with our new radio podcast product, and SpeakerTunity Radio Insider, but the upcoming SpeakerTunity Radio Insider for Business. But also, one of the things that we've done is we're creating regional speaker lead directories. So if you live in the US or Canada, we have got 60 different markets on the way, for about 40 of them are done, where you can just pick your own market. And then in that are sections like business, which is subdivided into 55 industries, ethnicities, and gender. Then the next is all the service groups, Rotary, Sir Optimus, Kin Clubs, etc. The next group is all the places that you touch the consumer directly: moms, seniors, parenting, health and wellness support groups, LGBT, military, and other special interest groups, bookstores, libraries, and hospitals. And lastly, spiritual unity centers for spiritual living and faith-based groups. So you can pick and choose which are the ones right for you from each of those categories. And then you won't be wandering around in the wilderness trying to figure out what's out there for you. And that's all virtual and live meetings, venues, and associations. So that we help you cut to the chase in that manner.
So really the service that you provide help people like me, speakers who instead of, I remember that years ago when the podcast started, I spent days on looking on Google, who had a podcast, how can I contact them? Where is their information? Can I find the email or that kind of thing? So really with your services at SpeakerTunity, you really help with the different kind of directories and all the research that we can do. It's much easier for people to do it. So I would say that if you're out there and if you're not a speaker yet, but you want to become a speaker, because it's very important in order to grow your business, well, you should definitely go to SpeakerTunity.com. I guess it's .com. Yeah.
And Biba, there's one other thing. If you are a beginner and you've not done this, by the middle of February, we will have a website that includes 2 training programs. One's called Rocket Your Radio and Podcast Bookings, and the other one is called The Art of Filling Your Speaking Calendar. Mm-hmm. Now you get any of those, and it's going to be a breeze for you. It's going to tell you everything you need to do and how to do it, and you can just then roll right into starting pitching yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you say, how to fill your podcast. And, I started, as I said, the first podcast in 2011, I think, if I remember well, and I'm restarting a new one now. So of course it's also a lot of work, and you need, an assistant if you want to do it, because you have to contact a lot of people and everything. But that's another great way also, especially if you're a beginner, to have more visibilities also. So when you have your own podcast where you are invited to other podcasts and you can cross promote each other, and then it's also help the people who have a podcast to contact you, because then they see what you do, how you do it, whether you do like a video like this one or podcast with the audio only, and it just help people to see how you speak, if you have something interesting to say, if you're good at being behind the mic. And that's definitely helped a lot in order to be booked by people also. What do you think about that?
Oh, I absolutely agree. That's a great swap technology. You're on each, but you can also do that on stages. If you actually happen to have a stage, an event that you promote, and somebody else has another event and they would like to promote it, you can do a stage swap as well. And that will work, especially if they're charging for space on their stage. You can often get them to waive that in exchange for giving them a spot on your stage.
Absolutely. And definitely speaking, if you're an entrepreneur, if you sell your own expertise and you're not speaking yet because, I don't know, you're afraid of something, the most important thing is to start. I remember the first time I got on stage, I was so scared. But then I noticed that as soon as I put my feet on it, I said, okay, and we speak about something that we know. We speak about the art, we speak about our business, we speak about the expertise that we have. We can probably talk for hours and hours. And then the more difficult will be to speak only for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. But really you have to speak, and especially as we said at the beginning, it's even easier now because it's more virtual. And now means it's global, because I'm in France right now. I normally live in Miami, but I'm in France, but I still continue to be on stage virtually. And I can stay in Normandy where I am. I don't have to travel. I don't have to risk anything. So there's more opportunities even now, because you can find opportunities in any kind of countries. So you mentioned that there's like now a lot more opportunities now. Do you think that it's because, of course, there's more people who apply for it? So once again, if you had like one tips to say to people to differentiate themselves, what would be the most important thing? Because there are so many people who want to be on stage, virtual or not, and it's global now. So what will be the one thing you should say to people? Okay, that's what you have to do first.
Well, the first thing is you actually have to commit the time to look for it. Most of the time people say, I will get to my speaking engagement sometime this next week. And then their client base and all the other things take over and they don't get around to doing it. So you actually have to block 3 hours in your calendar every single week that is dedicated to this process of getting out there, finding the right opportunities and pitching yourself. Or hire somebody on your team to do that and give them clear direction. Because if your materials are good, and here's the really thing, what you're offering sounds different than what everybody else is doing, then it's a matter of just persistence. Because, so many organizations have weekly meetings, monthly meetings, etc. You're going to hit somewhere. It's like pinball, somewhere it's going to knock over those pins if you just keep at it. But here's the point I was making. If it sounds like what everybody else is saying, if it sounds like, oh, I help people remove their blocks, I help people get to 6 figures, it's not going to land the gig. It's got to be different. It's got to be unique. You have to have your own name for it, your own unique methodology, your unique identifier. Somehow you have to sound different, and that's going to help get you booked.
Okay, cool. So now, in order to go faster, now we know that we have to block at least 3 hours during the week, and I confirm that. And I do the first search, and then I send it to my assistant. But it's a lot of work, and then you have to reply to everybody, because I notice that even when I do a call to speakers, either for the show or when I do for the summit, a lot of people say, I want to speak. But then you send them an email and they never reply. So I don't get that. I know a lot of people are busy, but anyway, if you want to show that you're committed, I mean, if you say I'm interested to speak, well, at least reply to the questionnaire or reply to the email to show that you're committed to speak. Otherwise, people will go to somebody else. Yeah.
And there's something else that's really important in today's world. Virtual summits and a lot of speaking gigs are predicated on the fact that you promote to your community as well as they promote to their community. So if you agree to do that,
you have to do it.
Fulfill your commitment.
Yeah.
There are so many people that will accept the opportunity and not do their part, and it will get them a bad reputation. So if you agree to do something, make sure that you do the co-promotion with it so that you will get a great reputation and everybody will want you.
Yeah, I experienced that also organizing virtual events. Everybody always say yes to everything at first, but when they have to do the work, it's different. They just want to show up to talk, and that's it. But then, as you said, doesn't show a good reputation, because that's the people that I never invite again anymore. So, and I don't recommend them to other people who do events.
When you start getting on the podcast and the virtual summit circuit, you start getting more invitations because people see you and the word spreads. And if, somebody like yourself says, don't invite this person. They don't do what they say. Then you're gonna get stopped in your tracks. But the nice part about it is when you do have a good reputation, it just expands, and you keep getting invitations, and you don't even have to go out and pitch some of them. So, you want to really get into the flow, and that's by pulling your weight.
Absolutely. That's what I got lucky in the French market, because I did the first one and then I never had to apply anymore. So, and usually, well, I'm in France during this whole thing that's happening in the world, but normally I spend like 2 months in France, 2 months in Miami. And when I'm in France, I never stop traveling, because I leave one stage and I go to the other stage and all that kind of thing. So when you do a good job and when you really help people, as you said, to promote also the events, because it's very important that you share it to your audience, then just people like you and they just invite you again and they just recommend you. And then you don't have to wait to block like 3 hours a week to book people. So just to end, to make sure that people understand exactly where they have to go to get your directories, can you give us again the information and what they can find on SpeakerTunity?
That's great. Thank you. Yes, you can go to SpeakerTunity.com. And when you get there, you're going to find 2 sections. One is directories, and that's our directories for speaking engagements, radio shows and podcasts, virtual summits, and product giveaways that are looking for collaborators. Also, our regional speaker lead directories, which enable you to really zero in on any particular market. Then we have a TEDx directory in the US and Canada if you want to find your TEDx's and not have to search all over that website. And you can see them by region and also by date, and also which are virtual and which are live. Then we have a new product called SpeakerTunity Recurring Virtual Networking Update. So if you want to pop into virtual networking opportunities and only give your elevator speech, but start collecting clients, that's a great tool, because we've identified 200 of them, 40 just for women alone. And then Radio Insider for Business is coming in the next couple of weeks. That'll make it really easy for you to get 40 business radio shows, B2B. Then underneath that, you're going to see the tools and resources and training. So that's where the training programs are, the speaker one sheet, and an easy booking system if you've never booked yourself and you just want to jump right into it with a video and some instructions. So all of that is easily accessible on the website. You can mix and match what is really good for you and get going and start promoting yourself. So SpeakerTunity is committed to having all of the tools you need in the speaker's toolbox. We will be adding a new product a month this entire year and going into next year. So keep checking back. And if you're not even ready to go right now, there's a form at the bottom of the page that says, I want to stay informed of what's upcoming, and just put your name in there and we'll keep you updated on the new tools that we're coming forth with.
Well, you pretty much do all the work for us. So, but we still have to commit to send the email. And I have to say that I joined your list recently, and it's really, really affordable for anybody, even for people who start their own business. So if you are interested in speaking on stage or virtually at a podcast, anywhere you can speak in order to grow your business. And if you have the business model, as we mentioned, to speak to sell, well, that's a great, great way to fill your practice. And that's how I feel my practice, also speaking to either my own events or other people's events. And that's a great way also for you to get more visibility. So if you have more visibilities, you also have more impact on people.
Why don't we get people started really simply and easily too? I can give them a month free in each of our 3 SpeakerTunity subscription services. The ones that give you leads all over North America, 40 radio shows and podcasts and summits. If you just go to SpeakerTunity.com/free-trials, you get a month free. So, and gives you an opportunity to, experience it and see if it's something you want to stay on. You can do all 3 or just 1 or 2. You can opt out in 90 days, in 30 days. So just feel free to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. So there's no more excuses. So now let's get people, let's get talking, let's get speaking, let's go on stage. So thank you very much, Jackie. And I really like what you said, and especially what you do, really helping. Everything is easy in what you do. So it's just help people to just doing. And again, as I said, there's no more excuses. So I'm here. I told you at the beginning, I'm here to introduce you to the network, to my network, to the expert that I know, to the expert that I meet, to the expert that were recommended to me, like Jackie was recommended to me a couple of months ago. And my goal is really to help you. I used to be known as the connection queen, so I guess that's what I continue to do, to connect you with the right people, but to make sure that you have the right resources in order to grow your business much faster. So if you are interested in, and if you want to make sure that you don't want to miss any of our show, because I do a show every week with an expert every week. So make sure that you click on the link under the video or next to the video, depending on when you see it. And then you will receive an invitation each time I have a new expert. And a new expert means new tips for you to grow your business. And if you like the information, make sure also that you share the video or the podcast version to your audience also, because we want to get more people and to help more people. So thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you.
And to everybody else, I see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.